Milo Groove Garcia knew every divot in the lacquered floor of Spin City roller rink. On Saturday nights he perched in his elevated booth like a lighthouse keeper, scanning the whirling tide of wheels and neon while coaxing them onward with funk bass lines, disco strings, and the occasional guilty pleasure pop hit. He dressed for the part, a crushed velvet blazer the color of grape soda, a ruffled shirt open to the sternum, and headphones wrapped in rainbow tape. The clientele loved him because he never missed a transition, injecting the night with just enough showmanship to make everyone believe they were starring in a personal music video. Yet on the first weekend of July 1982, the night the trouble started, Milo felt something misaligned long before the crowd sensed it. The air inside Spin City usually carried a backdraft of popcorn, citrus deodorant, and hot gears. That evening it smelled faintly metallic, like archways in an old train station, and Milo's chest buzzed with the same dissonance a mispressed vinyl gives off when its spindle hole isn't quite centered. He chalked it up to nerves. Crystal Blaze, real name Christine Blazachik, fastest skater on the Eastern Circuit and unofficial queen of Spin City, was scheduled to perform a showcase at midnight. Crystal's displays drew overflow crowds, and Milo prided himself on matching her, choreography beat for beat. The energy between DJ and star skater was symbiotic. She carved figure eights in shimmering lame. He cued horn stabs at each apex, and the audience reacted like sea foam threshing rocks. At 10:42 p.m., he received the first flash of static. He was cross-fading Edwin Starr's Contact into a Giorgio Moroder instrumental when Needle and Groove suddenly raged with white noise, a burst so violent Milo yanked the slider down on instinct. The rink lights dimmed for half a breath, then steadied. Skaters stumbled, cursed, recovered. Milo peered through the plexiglass window at his Technics turntable. No visible damage. What the hell? He flipped the record over and let the B-side run. Everything sounded fine. But the metallic smell intensified, prickling the back of his sinuses like old pennies. Down on the floor, Crystal warmed up, slicing through less seasoned patrons, as though gravitational laws favored her alone. Milo admired her fluidity, yet tonight her spark seemed muted. She was glancing at the corners of the rink, brushing an imaginary speck from her thigh, twitching with half-buried tension. Milo considered sending the rink manager, Gus Grizzly Guerrero, an all-clear nod from the booth, but Gus wasn't at his usual post beside the soda fountain. Instead, a new employee he didn't recognize, skinny kid, turquoise visor, was wiping counters. At 11:15, Crystal veered off the floor and ascended the steep steps to Milo's booth. She knocked twice, entered without waiting. "Groove," she said, "keep your ear out for anything weird." Milo spread his hands across two mixer channels. "Meaning?" "My skates." She held one up, white boot with lollipop pink wheels. "Something's off. They feel sticky, almost like there's gum in the bearings." "Did you check for gum?" "Course I did." Crystal exhaled sharply, fogging the plexiglass. "Look, there are jealous punks everywhere. Some folks bet heavy on my time trials. If I crash tonight, a few wallets get thicker." Milo lifted the boot, spun a wheel. It rotated sluggishly, decelerating with a soft click-click. "Sounds like you've got sand in there." "Who sprinkles sand in somebody's wheels indoors?" "Someone determined to see you faceplant." He sniffed again. Where was that coin smell coming from? Crystal pressed her palms to her temples. "I told Grizzly, but he's off counting the cash draw. Says I'm paranoid." "I'll keep watch," Milo said. "You're going on at midnight. Gives us 45 minutes to play detective." Crystal descended the stairs and vanished behind the black curtain that hid the locker area. Milo slid a Bee Gees track in, deliberately upbeat to calm the rink's mood. Then he rummaged through his milk crates for something else. An obscure single he found earlier that week at the flea market. The sleeve bore a holographic disco ball and the handwritten title, Spin Me Backwards, by an act called Echo Mirrors. No release year, no label either. He hadn't dared spin it yet. The dealer said, "You want weird, this one's downright occult." With curiosity trumping caution, Milo cued the record on deck 2, slipped the needle into the lead-in, and monitored through headphones. A lush string pad faded in, perfectly period-appropriate, followed by congas and a Nile Rodgers-style guitar. Not bad, he thought. He composed a segue, fade the Bee Gees, punch up an air horn, then slam Echo Mirrors. At 11:27 he did exactly that. The effect was electric at first. Skaters popped hips, turned backward, clapped overhead. Then a low vocal line crawled from the mix, nearly subliminal, like a congregation muttering Latin in reverse. The congas warped, pitch-drooping half steps. Lights flickered again. Milo's sound meters twitched, though input remained steady. Beneath him, wheels wobbled. A trio of middle schoolers skidded sideways and collided with the rail. Crystal re-emerged, eyes wide. "What are you playing?" she mouthed. Milo lifted the record sleeve. Crystal shook her head. "No," she mouthed again. She pointed to her ears, mimed something rewinding, then slashed her throat in the universal kill-the-song sign. Milo obliged, looping into Cheeks Le Freak instead. Instantly, the rink's colour returned, as if someone had brightened the bulbs. Skaters resumed flow. Still, Milo's pulse hammered. A layer of frost seemed to coat his hairs. Reverse Latin chanting? Maybe the track had hidden grooves. Or maybe he was spooking himself. 30 minutes until midnight. Milo exited the booth for a floor sweep under pretext of refilling his Coke. He rolled the long way around, scanning for anything out of place. Unknown bags, loose screws, patches of liquid, grit near the center ring. The janitor, Aunt Vi, silver bun, knee pads, broom strapped to her hip, met him by the arcade. "You smell that?" she asked. "Metal?" "Mercury," Vi stated. "My first husband was a dentist. Used to mix it for fillings. This air's metallic because someone's heating something. Little dots on the floor." She pointed. Milo saw tiny silver beads no larger than ball bearings. "Spilled skateboard bearings, maybe?" "Those are drops of solder," Vi said. "Fresh, too. Someone's been working on gear." Milo's stomach folded. Bearings, sand, sabotage. And solder. Couldn't be coincidence. He cut backstage, a labyrinth of lockers and supply closets where orange string lights revealed more silver specks trailing toward maintenance. The door was ajar. Inside, Gus leaned over a bench vise, sweating through his paisley shirt, soldering iron in hand. A disassembled skate truck lay beside him. The edges of the boot looked familiar, white with pink stripes, Crystal's spare pair. "Boss," Milo said. Gus jerked upright, rocking on his heels. "Groove, you need something." Milo eyed the iron. "Did Crystal ask you to tinker with her backup?" Yes, loose axle, tightening her up." Milo lifted the boot, rolling a wheel. It jammed almost immediately. "This isn't tight, it's crippled." "I'm low on tools," Gus muttered. "What did you put in the bearings? Solder splatter?" Gus set the iron in its cradle, hands trembling. Okay, listen. House takes bets, right? Not me, personally, but some big spenders come here expecting a little entertainment. Crystal wins too often. People quit wagering. A spill resets the odds." He gave an apologetic shrug. You're telling me you sabotaged our start to Gooseside bets? Nothing severe. A stumble. Couple shredded nylons, bruised pride. She'd recover. Milo's vision turned a dangerous shade. Crystal's got nationals in 2 weeks. A broken ankle ends that. She trusts us. Gus's shoulders slumped. I didn't touch her primary pair. Someone else must have. He gestured helplessly. I was only prepping a, fail-safe scenario. Pathetic, Milo hissed. I'm flushing the solder and locking the maintenance cage. The PA crackled overhead. The turquoise visor kid from concessions announced, Ladies and gents, in 15 minutes our very own Crystal Blaze will ignite the floor. Grab a spot, grab a soda, and prepare to be dazzled. Milo's anger sharpened into urgency. If Gus hadn't tampered with Crystal's current skates, then who had? And what about echo mirrors? That reverse chant felt intimate to the sabotage, as though sound itself could strip wheel axles. He marched out, scanning for Crystal. She was stretching behind the curtain, bronze skin shimmering under baby oil, but her expression was flint. Any news? She asked. Gus admits meddling with your backup. Says he didn't touch the pair you're wearing. Then why do they still feel heavy? She thrust her foot onto a folding chair. Milo spun the wheel again, sluggish. How fast can you unlace? He asked. 30 seconds. Do it. You're borrowing mine. Milo kicked off his Adidas high tops, exposing custom inline hybrids he'd designed for after-hours practice. He unscrewed the toe stops, adjusted straps, loose for breathing room, shoved Crystal's feet into them. They were a half size large, but she flexed and nodded. Like socks on butter. Milo crammed his own socked feet into the hamstrung white boots. The wheels barely synced, wobbling, but he could ride them enough to test. Crystal zipped away to queue. Milo, wobbling, rolled down the corridor toward concessions. The turquoise visor kid was dragging a crate of 45s toward the DJ booth ladder. Milo intercepted him. Need help? He asked. Kid startled. Mr. Groove. Just bringing these requests you asked for. I didn't ask for requests. Who told you that? Guy in the parking lot. He said you'd pay me 20 to fetch them. Milo knelt, pried open the crate. Inside lay several sealed sleeves identical to echo mirrors. Same holographic disco ball, same hand lettering. Dozens of copies. Where'd you meet the man? Milo asked. Other side of the hedge. He drove a brown Cordoba, said his name's Mirror 1. Milo's scalp tightened. He sniffed the sleeves, again the metallic taint. He flipped a record. Its underside glittered unnaturally, as though coated with iron filings suspended in varnish. A tiny pentagram was etched in the dead wax. Kid's walkie-talkie crackled. All staff to posts, show starting in 5. Kid grabbed the crate and hurried off. Milo followed, yanking a copy free. Back in the booth, he layered the new chic remix beneath the crowd's roar. He counted heads, packed. Crystal hovered at center floor, spotlight shimmering around her. Grizzly Gus manned the lighting console, cheeks blotched, eyes darting. The visor kid filed records behind Milo. Milo thumbed the suspicious disc. He reversed it by hand on a silent channel, headphone monitoring. The gibberish chant oozed again, but now he recognized fragments. His own name, Crystal's name, echoes of commands. Spin her down, splinter bone, break the star, feed the tone. A magnetic shiver crawled his spine. The rink's main speakers were muted, so the crowd didn't hear the chant, but he saw meters on Channel 2 spike though volume was at 0. Some energy leapt nonetheless, a feedback of intent. Milo flicked the cue light off. He dashed to Gus. "Kill the show!" "You nuts?" Gus barked. "That record is a weapon. Someone pressed sympathetic magic into the vinyl. Groove, I can't sell mysticism to the fire marshal." Milo seized Gus by his paisley collar. "Either we stop Crystal or watch her break." Lights faded, crowd hushed. Crystal crouched, preparing her launch. Milo's brain raced. The sabotage was physical, sand, solder, but also sonic. The cursed disc, maybe multiplied by others, could resonate with the metal beads, forcing mechanical failure. A double-pronged attack hidden among ordinary disco. He sprinted back to the booth, scanning crate spines. They were all echo mirrors. He snatched the crate, hurled it into the utility hallway. Records shattered like ceramic. "What the hell?" the visor kid shrieked, lunging for Milo. In the scuffle, the kid's visor fell, revealing a jagged scar across his brow. Recognition flashed. Benny Mako, a disgraced roller derby hustler banned last year for shaving rivals' axles. "You," Milo said. Benny's lips curled. "House odds, Groove. Blaze falls, I rise." He produced a small chrome remote from his pocket, thumb hovering over a red rocker switch. Wireless speakers I tucked under the subfloor. One tap, chant plays backward at 130 decibels. Bearings melt, wheels lock, your precious crystal eats maple. He jammed his thumb downward. Milo tackled him. They crashed onto the booth floor, rolling among cables. The remote skittered away, landing beside the mixer. Benny headbutted Milo, who tasted copper. He responded with a forearm to Benny's throat. The rink's PA erupted in the reversed mantra, so loud screws rattled in the ventilation. Light rigs flickered strobe white. Cries rose from the crowd. Crystal launched. The cursed chant surrounded her, an invisible centrifuge. Milo's inner ear throbbed. He shoved Benny aside, scrambled up, and yanked the booth's master gain to 0. Didn't matter. The phantom signal bypassed the board, pumping straight through hidden satellite speakers. "Find the breaker!" Milo yelled over pandemonium. Gus gaped. Milo vaulted down the ladder on Crystal's sabotaged skates. Wheels squealed, nearly pitching him. He rode the rail to keep speed, but wobbled like a newborn deer. On the floor, children clutched ears, parents shielded eyes. Crystal kept momentum, her focus diamond-sharp despite the demonic soundtrack. She attempted a Lutz, wheel traction failed. She lurched. Milo shoved off, arms pinwheeling, intercepting her trajectory. He absorbed her sideways momentum, both spinning into the center ring. The cursed wheels under Milo shrieked. Something snapped, a truck bolt perhaps, but he dug toe stops into the boards, halting them. The chant crescendoed. "Break, break, break." Then silence. Aunt Vi had yanked the mains breaker. Lights died, music died, fans whirred down. Emergency lanterns glowed ember red. The crowd hushed, then applauded in confusion, thinking perhaps it was part of the show. Crystal's chest hammered against Milo's. "You okay?" he asked. "I think so." She glanced at her borrowed skates. "Your babies saved me. And Vi saved us all." From the emergency glow, they spotted Benny sprinting for the rear exit, remote in hand. Milo helped Crystal off the floor, and together they pursued, skates clacking against concrete. Benny lunged through the loading dock, but Milo launched a disabled skate like a discus. It struck Benny's calf. He stumbled, sprawled. Crystal closed the gap, executing a textbook derby hip check that sent Benny into stacked crates of soda syrup. He groaned, pinned by sugar bags. Gus arrived moments later, disheveled, accompanied by 2 off-duty cops who moonlighted as security. They cuffed Benny, confiscating the remote. One cop radioed dispatch. Milo retrieved the remote. He rigged subfloor speakers. Benny spat syrup. Vinyl's passé groove. Magnetic resonance is future sabotage. Call it audio voodoo. Security dragged him away. Emergency lights flickered back to full house bulbs. Staff ushered patrons toward free sodas to settle nerves. Milo and Crystal collapsed on a bench outside the maintenance room. Gus approached, wringing his hands. "I'm sorry," he said. "I wanted a thrill, not blood." Crystal, breathing ragged, replied, "You gambled with my legs. That's blood enough." Gus nodded silently, then handed her an envelope containing cash from the knight's door. "Take it. We'll discuss ownership stakes later, assuming I still have a business after the feds audit me." Crystal eyed Milo. "You should be partner." "Me?" Milo laughed incredulously. "I'm a disc jockey, not an accountant." "You're the soul of Spin City," she said softly. A crack split the night air. Aunt Vi smashing a remaining Echo Mirror's disc against the curb. Tiny iron filings scattered like sparks. "Bad juju," she declared, backmasking devilry. "Where'd those records come from?" Crystal asked Milo. He recounted the flea market vendor. Crystal frowned. "Pressing cursed vinyl requires resources. Benny's a petty thug, not a sorcerer." "Somebody bankrolled him," Milo agreed. "Maybe we'll find out when detectives trace the Cordoba." Sirens neared. Milo watched paramedics evaluate minor injuries. The rink's marquee glowed half-lit, as if embarrassed. He inhaled. The metallic scent had vanished, replaced by distant rain. Later that night, after statements and medics departed, Milo sat cross-legged in the empty rink wearing fresh sneakers. Crystal practiced slow laps to keep adrenaline from curdling. Neon still shimmered, though music remained off. The only soundtrack was wheels whispering across hardwood. She coasted to him. "You never did your set's finale." He patted his crates, survivors minus Echo Mirrors. "Got any requests? Surprise me." Milo loaded Earth, Wind and Fire's fantasy, lowered the stylus. Warm chords filled the space, no hidden reversals. Crystal closed her eyes, accelerating into wide spirals. Milo, safe on foot, clapped time overhead. Her silhouette cut arcs against the rainbow lights, no longer tethered by sabotage, springs calibrated to her heartbeat alone. Milo considered how sound can build or break, how a groove's narrow valley channels invisible energy. Tonight he'd witnessed music turned to weapon, and music as refuge. He promised himself he would guard the difference with even sharper ears. Crystal pulled up beside him, cheeks flushed. "Nationals in 2 weeks," she said. "You free to travel?" "As what, roadie?" "As my personal DJ. Whoever scores my programs controls my wind." Milo grinned, imagining arenas, new turntables, fresh mysteries. "Then let's roll," he said. They bumped knuckles. Overhead, the mirrorball spun lazy constellations across the rink, silent reminders that every revolution is a choice, forward or backward, groove or rupture. Tonight they had chosen forward.